Welcome back, everyone. We're back with Associate Professor of Literacy, Dr. Katie Monnin. And you have a, I guess you're well known for advocacy in support of the LGBTQ community.
Yes.
So obviously we wanted your thoughts on what happened on Survivor this week with Zeke being outed as transgender.
I think that was a pretty horrific situation, and I liked what you said earlier about this was a missed opportunity to educate and use this as an educative moment. I also think you guys embracing this today as a topic is great for Jacksonville because you're making an educated topic right now. So us talking about it, I applaud. Being gay myself, when I came out at about 24, 25, if anyone had outed me before that, I would have been horrified. I would have went deeper into the closet. That is such a personal topic. So I was a little baffled that someone would actually do that.
What would you have liked to see?
Yeah, what would you have preferred?
Yeah, as the educating moment, what would you have liked to see CBS work, or CBS have done?
I would like for it to have just not been an issue. When it's not an issue, when we don't give it power that it's this controversial thing, then it just becomes something people understand and it's normalized, quote unquote. I think too often we make a point to teach kids, the gay people, these things. If we just treat all people the same, then it's just not an issue.
Exactly. Well, it's surprising you say that the use of LGBTQ themes aren't widely accepted in graphic novels, which I thought was very surprising, considering, you know, graphic novels are kind of like the redheaded stepchild of their own.
Is that because so many young guys like to read them? And I mean, I'm just curious. Is that the reason why?
No, the reason why is an LGBTQ question. The #1 banned graphic novel is a middle-level young adult graphic novel for middle schoolers called Drama by Raina Telgemeier, who's a good friend of mine. And the point of the story has nothing to do with the gay character. She doesn't even make a big deal about it in the story. It's just something, an aspect of his character to define him, just like any other character, hetero or homosexual. So the outrage and the fact that this is appearing on so many banned book lists is baffling because no one's really taking the time to read the story because the story isn't about the character being gay.
Yeah. So, let me get your thoughts on something else we talked about last week, and it was Marvel's VP, and he was saying that he didn't, or I guess he was taking a survey, and they said what the results were was they don't want any more diversity in comic books. What are your thoughts on that, especially women?
Yes, I think he's absolutely wrong. I don't really feel all too comfortable saying that about the Marvel guy on TV, but hi.
Anyway. See you at Comic-Con.
See you at Comic-Con. No, I think he was surveying, I believe, retailers. If you ask retailers that, I think they may say that because they're selling the ones that have already been produced and published, so their stats are going to be different. They don't have the stats to be great enough to compare to the ones that are already published. But I think the reception that Wonder Woman got for her 75 years of existence in her movie spoke to the fact that we do need this. I think it'll be an ongoing discussion. I do many panels on that when I travel around to the different Comic-Cons.
So if he had actually surveyed consumers, people who are actually reading these comic books, you think it would have been a completely different result?
I absolutely agree, yes.
You do?
I think there would be a different result, and especially if they consulted educators about this. I would invite, you know, it's always better when we ask all the stakeholders to come to the table to weigh in before we make a grand decision.
Imagine that.
Yes.
Now you mentioned Wonder Woman's been in the comics for 75 some years, but now it's taken until now for her to front her own big superhero film. And there's also this issue, I don't know if you know about this, where people are concerned that Gal Gadot, the actress that plays her, doesn't have underarm hair on camera because Wonder Woman was from the Amazon.
Right.
And so they think this comic book character should be more realistic and have underarm hair. What do you think about that?
Well, about the underarm hair issue, wow, people, there are bigger problems in life than whether or not the Wonder Woman has underarm hair. But it is an issue. You are so correct, and I find that a little bit baffling as well. But, you know, I think literary license and creative storytelling should always be encouraged, and if the director, producer, writer wanted to write it that way, then it's one fine detail they wanted to do in that manner.
Well, fine detail specifically, because we were talking about this earlier, and it's like if she were maybe true to the culture of the character and she didn't shave her legs, are we really going to be able to tell? No, because the hair is like this big, and you're not going to be able to see it.
But you can tell when she puts her arms up on film.
Definitely.
Well, and Wonder Woman was not, I don't really want to talk about the origins of her, you guys can Google it later, but she was not really conceived by a man with the best intentions either, so making her a little...
What were his intentions?
Well, they were very suggestive and they were inappropriate, and that history gets lost on the modern character, and I think that's a good thing because now we're making her a legitimate hero equal to the male characters.
Do you have a favorite character?
Ooh, superhero character or in general?
Or both.
Oh, probably Batman and the Joker. I think their dynamic is, especially, well, Heath Ledger Joker, if I am specific. Heath Ledger Joker. Yes. Very different. Yes, I actually have his autograph in my house, and I'm like, every time I see it.
Gone too soon.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
what a talent.
What a talent. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Yes. Amazing.
So Batman and the Joker, interesting.
Yes.
I mean, because that's been going on for generations, that back and forth between those two characters, it's amazing.
What about female characters, though? What's your favorite female character, or do you think there needs to be one that's produced that's maybe new?
There's Batgirl is actually a lesbian. She came out in the early 2000s.
I did not know that.
But it speaks to the point we've been talking about. No one really took it up as a topic. So she kind of went underground again, and she has not risen back up. So I would say Batgirl. I guess I really like DC stuff. You know,
is Black Widow maybe doesn't like deserve her own movie? Because this is kind of what we're waiting to see, is that Wonder Woman has her own movie now after years. Is there another female superhero character that you think deserves this chance?
I would say that Carrie Fisher as
Princess
Leia.
Princess Leia. I got corrected when I said R.I.P. Princess Leia, and immediately on Twitter, a million Star Wars fans said it's General Leia. And so I thought that was cool. You know, like to give Leia her proper authority and that she was now a general.
And Carrie Fisher,
kind of cool.
Yeah, I met her once in real life, and she was one of the most kind, profoundly articulate women I have ever met. So strong. So I hope when they do eventually do that, because I think they will, they find another strong female to carry that character forward.
I hope so. She was amazing.
Like you, strong female.
I would sign up immediately.
Have a great time at Comic-Con.
I will.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Dr. Monnin, you really are the coolest professor ever. Even though Professor Goodsell, Joey Goodsell, you were also pretty cool. But
very cool.
She's pretty sweet. All right, for more information on Dr. Monnin's books, you can find them on Amazon.com.